Hi. A few days ago, I worked with a young girl, she's in her 20s, who said she's always had tight hips. And then her mom also has tight hips, so it might just run in her family. And we spent actually quite a long time going over a variety of hip practices. But what I'd like to do, because I know people's time is very short, is just create a very short help your hip segment. So we're going to start out standing. And we're going to start out with our legs wide and our knees bent indoor hip. So you can start to feel how the legs connect into the hips right here at the socket. And that is where we bend forward from. So we're going to talk a little bit about why people have issues bending forward as well. I'm going to stretch this area a little bit. So take your right hand inside your right thigh, not on the knee joint. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, take that right shoulder over inside your left knee, look up, push away, make it isometric, push away with the right hand, feel where your legs meet the body, breathe through the nose, and then inhale, come back up. And as you exhale, follow the breath through the nose, do the same thing, push that inner left thigh, look up, and just stretch a little bit, loosen up a little bit where the legs meet the body, keep breathing. Then inhale, come back to center, sit into those hips as much as you can, careful of the knees. And then come on up. We're going to do one more standing thing. And I know you can't see my head, but it's more important that you see my hips right now. Your feet can be a little bit wider than hip distance. And you're literally going to pretend you have a hula hoop. So start to feel where your legs meet your body and breathe into that area. You may say, well, I breathe into my lungs, I thought, but we breathe through the entire body. And we actually have a breathing muscle in the hip and groin area, a little one. So move the other way and be a hula hoop for a few more moments, breathing through the nose. And then before we sit down and just do a few stretches seated for your hips, we're going to come back to center. Now, a lot of times the classic test of if I'm flexible is, can I come forward and hold on to my toes? I suggest bending your knees and again, feeling where that bend is from, letting your head go. I just love the ragdoll. And this is the ragdoll. And just feel the strength in your legs and that you're creating a hinge in your hips. And breathe. Good. And we're going to inhale, come up. And we're going to exhale, come down to the floor, and I'm going to show you a few things for especially those of you that are really tight in your hips. So when we start to come forward from our hips, if we are tight in the hips, what you see a lot is people's pelvis tilts back. If your pelvis is tilting back and you've got a yoga block or a yoga cushion, a meditation cushion block would do, go ahead and elevate yourself. The other thing, if you don't have something to elevate yourself, that elevating will help push you forward a little bit from the right place, from not the lower back, but the hips. And so if you don't have that, or even if you do have that, you can bend your knees and inhale, just come forward from the hips. Now, what a lot of people do is they round their back and they come forward. That's going to push the pelvis back. You want to feel that movement from the pelvis so that as you get more flexible, doesn't matter how far you're getting now, as you get more flexible and you move here, you can actually see I'm moving from my hip socket. You can feel your hip socket. Luckily, the hip socket is not loose in the socket like our shoulders. And so you're very likely not to hurt that hip by moving it. And we're going to inhale, come up, and just do a couple more things. So you're going to exhale and turn to your left leg or your right leg. And I'm going to invite you not to round your back and come forward, but rather, again, to feel where the movement comes from in your body. Okay. And you want to try to keep your legs straight if you can. Again, if you're super tight, that may not work. You may have to bend your knees. So you can see I'm trying to keep my back relatively straight here. I can get pretty far. That's not everybody's intention. If you get there, great, but I'm getting the stretch from my hip socket. And then inhale, come up to make it even, go to the other side, and exhale, come forward. And again, more important to feel like you've got some movement here than to go like this and come forward. That's really not going to serve the stretch. Now you're getting the stretch up the back of the legs. Now you're getting a nice straight back instead of rounding into our habits here, right? And then inhale, come on up. Exhale, bring your legs together. There's a lot more things we could do for the hips, but I wanted to make this nice and short. So I'm going to give you one more, cradle the baby. And even as I bring my knee in, this is a stretch where the leg meets the body. So a little bit of education on that. What you want to be careful on when you're stretching your hips is to not put it into the knee. And we're not doing anything super advanced today, but as you advance your practice, be aware of that. This is cradle your baby. So you just take the foot out like so, you wrap the arm around, you take it here, or you could take the arms under, either way. And then you lift your back. If you round your back, you're not going to get as much stretch in this area where the legs meet the body. So if you can, you move a little bit here and you breathe. If you don't want to move, just feel the stretch. Pull the leg in as much as you can towards the body. Breathing through the nose is yogi breath. And then inhale. And as you exhale, take it away and do the second side. So first, don't rush. Also, when we're moving in our hip knee area, or actually in your body in general, it's good not to rush, because if we move in and out too quickly, we can tweak a joint and have to get that some time to get better. So we don't want to have to do that. And here you go. So as much as you can, you take this knee out to the side. It's called external rotation. You hug it in like so, or the way I showed it on the other side. You bring your heart up, your shoulders down, you bring it in. And if you can, you cradle your baby a little bit here, always breathing through your nose. I have on these lovely toe spreaders because I have large bunions. And as I've gotten up in age, I realized that it really behooves me to pay attention to my feet. Our feet are our foundation. So that's just a little side, but your feet, your ankles, your knees and hips are what carry you in the earth, in the world and the earth. So go ahead and take that forward. Final thing, Paschimottanasana, classic forward bend, very much like we were doing standing, where people think, oh, I've got to hold on to my toes. Well, no, not necessarily. So once again, you can bend your knees, you can keep your back straight and bring your chest towards your thighs and maybe just stay here and feel where your body moves from the hip socket. Or you can have the legs straight, don't have to hold on to those big toes. See if you can move forward from the hip socket. If you've got quite a modicum of flexibility, you can reach forward, pull the shoulders back, and eventually relax into this stretch with deep breath. This is one of these forward bends for a lot of people that take time. And so in yoga, we say the forward bends are what give us patience. For encouragement, I can tell you that when I first started yoga, I was a distance runner in high school and college. I had very, very tight hips. And now I'm approaching 70 and my hips are still open from yoga practice. I can get my legs behind my head. I can still do a split. And I was not like that when I began. And it's not like that's where you're going to go, but it's really great. And just to conclude, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because the young lady that I worked with sent me a text saying that she's doing her exercises every day for her hips, and she is feeling better in mind and body. So let our yoga practice do that for us. And thank you so much for watching. This is a little home video, so I am going to just go ahead and stop it and move up to the camera. But I hope this will help your hips. Have a great day.